As rumor would have it, Canon are about to release an EOS R Mark II sometime in 2020. I've even heard speculation that this release will be as early as late February. We don't know this for sure. If it's not February, it may end up being in the middle or towards the end of the year, but we do know that sometime in 2020 we are expecting this release. So if that's the case, what features are we likely to see in this updated version of the EOS R? I've had a look at some online reports. I've also speculated based on my experience with the EOS R, some of the features that I think have been lacking in this particular generation that are very likely to appear on the Mark II. So first of all, it's very likely that Canon will get rid of the infamous crop factor when shooting 4K video. For those of you that aren't aware of this issue, essentially it means that when you shoot in 4K, it crops into the sensor, which means that your lens becomes magnified. For example, if you have a 35mm lens, it acts more like a 58mm lens. If you've got a 50mm lens, it acts more like a 90mm lens. So if you don't have an extensive lens collection, this could be an issue for you. I, on the other hand, have just about every focal length available, so it never was an issue for me at all. It doesn't impede the image quality, the fact that you get a crop factor. It's not really a major problem, but so many people complained about it, and given that the competitors quite often have full frame 4K without crop, there was certainly a huge demand for this feature, and I think because of that, it will be released in the Generation 2 of the EOS R. Next up was in-body image stabilization. So many people complained about the fact that this was omitted in the first generation of EOS R. IBIS essentially allows you to go handheld when shooting video, and also is very useful for low light shooters, street photographers, travel photography. When you want to get a few extra stops out of your camera, you can use IBIS to shoot at low shutter speeds, such as a quarter, or even sometimes as low as 1 second. So I think this will be a very useful addition to the EOS R Mark II and very likely to appear as one of the new features. The other thing to talk about are the ergonomics of the camera. I think the body was very well received in general, and usually when Canon updates the camera to a Mark II, there's very few cosmetic changes. One of the things that I think was omitted that could have been done better was the fact that there's no video button available on the body. You've got to use a combination of the mode and info button together to toggle video and still modes on and off, which I think was a little bit ordinary and could be improved on this next generation. So we might see the introduction of a new video button. Also, the touch bar on the back of the camera, a lot of people complained about the fact that it was a little bit fiddly and wasn't really as useful as it could have been. Personally, I actually quite like it and do use it a lot, especially for controlling ISO. Sometimes I'll assign the aperture to it. So I think that it's very likely they might make a change to it, maybe the sensitivity of the touch bar. They might even remove it altogether and replace it with a joystick, which a lot of people commented that they would have preferred to see on this camera. And last but not least, we're very likely to get an upgrade to the image processor. Currently, we have the Digic 8 30.3 megapixel sensor. It's very likely this will be increased up to around 40. I've even heard reports that we might be getting a 70 megapixel sensor. That's only speculation at this stage, but the higher the better for those of you shooting still photography, fine art photography, or commercial work. The higher the megapixel, the better. For those in video production, this doesn't really matter, but if they do actually go up to the Digic 9 processor, we're probably going to get better low light sensitivity and also a better dynamic range. And finally, a further option that we could see on the EOS R Mark II is the availability of dual card recording. Now, this is a feature that is demanded by professional photographers working in the realm of event photography, such as weddings, corporate events, and sports photography. As you can imagine, you don't have the opportunity to get that shot twice when you're working under these circumstances. So dual memory card is really an essential for these types of photographers. So I know this was heavily criticized on the EOS R when it first came out. So it's very likely that it will appear on the EOS R Mark II. And if there's a couple of options available, an entry level and a pro model, of course, it would go into the pro version of that camera. So once again, speculation, but we'll have to wait and see what the actual outcome is. So these are my thoughts and suggestions on what we might see on the Canon EOS R Mark II. I'd love to hear from you, the viewer, if you've come across any information that you'd like to share with the channel viewers about what you might see or would like to see in the EOS R, or you think is very likely to eventuate. Feel free to put those comments in the comments box below. If you are looking to purchase an EOS R right now and not sure whether you should hold off, my philosophy is that you need to purchase your equipment whenever you're ready. There's no point waiting for the next model. If you're ready to go right now and you're going to miss out on opportunities, I think the EOS R, as it stands, is a fantastic camera. I'm certainly pleased that I purchased it. Certainly when the new one comes out, if these features that I mentioned do eventuate, yes, I'm very likely to upgrade it. But having said that, I'm very happy with the way the original model performs as is. So make a decision accordingly. Hopefully this information was useful. If you did find it helpful, feel free to hit me up with a like, and also consider subscribing to the channel and you'll be notified of up and coming video releases. See you on the next one. Bye for now.